that we are really facing right now in this country affects men and women, but it affects women in a different way and in a more severe way, and that is economic security. Right? What we are seeing, and let me just back over the You Have to Hate Women to Love This Bill, Chris Smith's H.R. 3. We've got, last time I checked, there were people from both sides of the aisle signed on as sponsors to that bill, right? We've got legislators from both sides of the aisle in Congress that are saying things like they think Social Security benefits need to be cut. Okay? Social Security is basically a wage replacement program. You know, we have minimum wage in this country. We also have minimum pension. And that's what Social Security really is. It's funded by our payroll tax. It's not even part of the ordinary federal operating budget. The operating budget is funded by your income taxes and the estate taxes. And Social Security is funded by payroll taxes. So if you cut benefits to Social Security, does it fix the federal deficit? No. No, it does not have an impact. Even the President's Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform, headed by Erskine Bowles and Alan Simpson, they admitted in their written report that Social Security has nothing to do with the federal deficit. They nonetheless proposed cutting Social Security on the FACO-BACO excuse that Social Security has long-term solvency problems. That's false, just so you know. Right? That's baby boom generation's retirement. It's on track. In the next, I think by 2020 or 2025 is expected to have a $4-point-something billion surplus, and it's right around there that the surplus we start using down the surplus to pay for all the baby boomers retiring. It's all been planned out. Social Security is fully solvent until 2037. There is no fire. There is no crisis. On best practices, we want Social Security actually to be solvent well beyond 2037. The actuarial best practice is 75 years, okay? And there's a really easy way to do it, and it's what we refer to as scrap the cap. Right? A lot of people don't know this, but Social Security, your payroll taxes are cut off after you have earned $106,800 for the year. If you earn over that, you see you're at the end of the year, you know, your paycheck goes up because you're not getting Social Security withheld. Your FICA isn't being withheld. Why? Because it gets cut off at $106,000. Most people don't know that because most people don't make $106,000. So guess what? The people at the higher end of the income scale are not paying their fair share into Social Security. Right? And they're not paying their fair share of taxes either. But the Social Security benefits top out at a certain level, it's true, but that doesn't mean that it's okay to keep the cap frankly as low as $106,000. Okay, so if we scrap the cap, if all you do is scrap the cap, you've got the system solvent beyond 75 years. Okay, so there are a lot of people who would like to see Social Security go away because why? Because then, where are we going to try to save our money and save up for retirement? Where are we going to put it? Wall Street. Who is there? Pete Peterson, a huge billionaire who is a charming man. He is best friends with a lot of really influential journalists and anchors of news organizations. He really is charming and he's very convincing. And he has put out this propaganda blitz for years, claiming that Social Security is about to go broke. That's false. Claiming that Social Security is a drain on the budget. That's false. Claiming that people are living longer, so we need to raise the retirement age. By the way, it's a benefit cut. Every year you raise the retirement age is about a 6% benefit cut on average. And it really hits the people who have to retire early because they've been working in physically demanding jobs. Like the average nurse. Like the average nurse who lifts 1 ton per day. Right? Or waitresses. Or and on the men's side, you know, physical labor, the construction workers, that sort of thing, they can't work to 65 or 67, let alone 69. And when you take quote-unquote early retirement, your benefits are cut for the rest of your life. It's not just cutting benefits until you hit normal retirement. And you take that That benefit cuts as much as 25, sometimes 30% of your Social Security benefits are cut for the rest of your life because you had to retire quote unquote early, right? So one of the things that Pete Peterson keeps saying is, well, everybody's living longer. You know what the truth is? The truth is that most people's life expectancy has stagnated. For women, it has stagnated. For women of color, it has gone down in the past 30 years, which has to do with access to health care. Remember the maternal mortality rates and the infant mortality rates for women don't have prenatal care? That is working out to depress the overall life expectancy, and it particularly hits women of color, right? The people who are living longer since around the 1980s are high-paid men who work in air-conditioned offices. So Paul Krugman, I don't know if he's this Nobel laureate economist. What he said was, so let me get this straight. He says the janitors have to work till age 69 because lawyers are living longer. Just checking. So we have now. Why did I say that this affects women especially? Okay, here's how it works. Women rely on Social Security more than men do. Why? Because while half of men work in jobs that have pensions, actual pensions, not 401ks, but actual pensions, only 30% of women work in jobs that have pensions, which is like an annuity, a guaranteed payment. So what about personal savings? You don't have a pension? That's right. You should be working and saving your money, as you go along. Well, okay, except that due to wage discrimination, the famous wage gap, women are earning actually women are being paid, they're earning more, but they're being paid 77 cents to the dollar that men are paid on average, which makes it, oh, I am so sorry. I gotta turn this thing off. Sorry. So at 77 cents on the dollar, it's a little harder to save. But check this out. African American women are at 68 cents on the dollar. And Latinas in this country are at 58 cents to the dollar. Now you tell me how you're going to save for your retirement, right? In fact, according to a recent study put out by the Insight Center, single unmarried women of color in this country, approximately half, it's either a little over half or a little under half, of unmarried women of color in the United States approach their retirement years with zero net worth. Whereas unmarried white women approach their retirement years with net worth of $40,000, which is scary enough. But women of color are going in with zero. Why? Why is it so hard for unmarried women? It's because we're struggling to live in districts, in neighborhoods that have good schools, so that our kids can go to good college. We are struggling if we don't have decent health care because women disproportionately work in jobs that don't have health care. So one little health care disaster can set you back years. This is what's happening daily in the daily, everyday lives of women. And in fact, I think Social Security accounts for 62% of women's income overall over the age of 65. And there are some million, I can't remember the numbers, some million women for whom Social Security is their only income. Their only income is that Social Security check. And that's really a poverty wage, the Social Security check. It's something like $12,000 a year. But that's the average. The average Social Security check that is paid to women is roughly $12,000. For women who have some income and have some assets going into their retirement years, that Social Security check is what keeps us in the middle class and out of poverty. It's just that little bit that you need, to keep you in the middle class. But Pete Peterson considers himself a self-made man, and he thinks it's unfair that he should be taxed to support all these lazy losers, that want Social Security, and his goal is to undermine and end the Social Security program altogether. Make no mistake, cutting benefits is the first step toward dismantling the program, and we've got people on both sides of the aisle in Congress that are trying to get us there. So those are actually the two things that at the national level we are working on the hardest: is to stop these attacks on reproductive rights for women, and stop these attacks on the economic security, particularly of older women.